So, General Kellogg, with that as a setup, what do you think Putin's play is now?
Hey, Bill, thanks for having me. Yeah, you did a great job on giving the analysis of that. You actually create multiple problems for Ukraine to defend against, coming from multiple approaches. Well, look, the other one are the indicators, and I've seen more indicators than I have fingers and toes. And you mentioned a couple of them, and they're critical because you have to base military decision-making on the indicators that you see. The field hospital is a great example. You don't move field hospitals up unless you're expecting a major engagement. Whole blood only has shelf life for 42 days. There's open source intelligence seeing the airborne forces, the VDV, which he will use in an initial assault, already rigged for parachute drop. You don't put parachutes on vehicles unless you're ready to go. You look at the echelonment of headquarters. What he has done, he's backed up headquarters to headquarters, army to army. That means he's got a breakthrough force in his first army headquarters, and then you've got a force that will continue the fight through the exploitation force in the second headquarters. And all of these indicators, if you're a military planner or you're an advisor, you have to take these under consideration. You cannot discard any of them. And when you add up all these together, you look at a major offensive across multiple fronts, exactly what I would do. You create more problems than Ukraine can solve, and you go for a massive and immediate strike.
General, I wanted to ask you about, just to look backwards just a little bit, because when Crimea was taken, this was something that was considered quite bold by Putin, and the pushback might not have been what it needed to be. Here's Jim Clapper reflecting on that now.
I wish we, as an administration, had been more aggressive in 2014. What's the difference is in 8 years, Putin clearly is a lot more emboldened than he was 8 years ago, and we have a lot better intelligence.
Do you think that Putin is different? We've heard, like, even Macron, the French president, when he was with him, he said something felt or seemed different. And then you look at Crimea, they took that, and then what Bill's talking about with that red line, I mean, maybe they take it for this year, but then do they come back? But what I hear you saying is that they are positioned with different types of military equipment now than they even had in 2014?
Dana, absolutely right. I mean, he's ready for a massive strike. Look, he's got 70% of his army around Ukraine right now. You know, I was fortunate to be with President Trump when he talked to Putin on at least 18 occasions, and you see a different type of Putin. And I think that's a leadership level. Right now, he had respect for President Trump. Trump acknowledged him as a leader. Right now, you've got two leaders in President Biden and Putin. They don't like each other. Putin has no respect for Biden. Biden has said very publicly he doesn't like Putin, said the man has no soul. Well, you've been in the White House, Dana. You know, a lot of these are based on personal relationships. And if the personal relationship has broken down, then you're really heading for some real problems and issues. So you always would go in, and you know this from being inside the Oval Office, you'd go in and you'd caution the leaders, be very careful about what you say, be very circumspect if you need to be, at least have some strategic ambiguity out there. But right now, I hate to say it, but President Biden's not dealing with corn pop. He's dealing with a very authoritarian leader who's actually ruthless. And I just see his whole tone change, especially in that speech he gave to his National Security Council. And so I think it's a very dangerous period. I think we're doing something smart by reinforcing our forces, because you're making sure he understands if you do go against NATO, it's going to be a fight, and it's suicide. To me, and for Russia, that's an extinction level event if you're going against NATO, because we'll finish them off.
General, we are not to assume that even if Putin were to try and overtake the entire country, it's not easy. It's the size of Texas.
Yeah.
Taking on the Ukrainian army positions in the southeast that we showed on the map a minute ago might be an easier task for the next 6 months to a year. But even then, by no means is it certain that the Russians would get away without heavy casualties and tolls along the way. What are the challenges for him as he views that possibility now?
Well, Bill, I've already said I always thought if he did anything, he was going to take the eastern one-third of the country, which is predominantly Russian-speaking, and you've looked at the Dnieper River. That's a real demarcation line out there. But look, here's the way the Russians fight. They come in with overwhelming force. They don't care about using heavy artillery or missiles or fighters and fighter bombers and massive force. It will be a massive strike. It'll be overwhelming when they do it. This isn't one of those surgical strikes. They come at you with everything they've got. And this is one of the indicators. He's got, again, I made that comment earlier, he's got over 70% of his army a line around Ukraine right now. He brought in fighter bombers from as far away as Siberia. He's brought all his missile systems into place. You mentioned the field hospitals. He's gearing for a fight. And you have to go off indicators. A prudent planner will do that. And that's what I think we're doing right now.
General, thank you.